Hello and welcome to a EQEMU setup guide for Linux. I've tried doing Windows and the VM just does not want to cooperate with me, and I don't recommend using Windows for anything. So a little bit of whatnot there. So what we're going to do is we're going to start 100% from scratch. I have two Windows VMs I'm not even going to use for anything. I have the guide here on EQEMU.io, their server installation. They recommend Debian. So what we're going to do is we're going to download Debian. We're going to grab their net installer for Debian 11 and save that. Pop back over here. And let me let this download. It's going to take a few minutes. Okay, so you should have this file right here, Debian 11 to AMD, whatever version, doesn't really probably matter too much. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to make a new VM inside a VirtualBox. We'll call this EQEMU Linux 2022. And this is going to be Debian 64-bit, and that looks good. So go ahead and click next. I like to give this about 16 gigs of RAM. My host computer has 64 gigs, so obviously give it what you can handle on your computer. Go ahead and click next. I'm going to create a new drive. And I'm going to click, I don't want 8. We'll go ahead and click next. We're going to go with the defaults here. Dynamically allocate it. We're going to actually bump this up to like 62 gigs is fine. There we go. Our VM is created. Now let's click settings. I mean our shell of a VM, right? We still have to install the OS. We're going to go here to system 16. We're going to give it 4 CPUs. I have 32 cores in my machine. You're going to want to give it at least 2. I like 4. So go there, go to storage, click on the little disk drive right here. Click on this little icon right here. Choose a disk file, and this right here, Debian. This is the recent, but I downloaded it to downloads, so there it is, right there. Click open. There we go. Go next. Make sure all this is good. So under network, change this to bridged. We don't want a NAT interface. And we should be good to go now. So let's go ahead and click OK. Let's go ahead and start this bad boy up. There we go. So let's go ahead and go with the graphical install. Why not? I haven't installed Debian in a long time, so this will be interesting to see what has changed for me. There we go. So obviously pick your language. I'm going to go with English. I'm going to go with the United States. The keyboard is fine. Just let it do its thing. This is a smaller install CD, so it is going to have to download any files that we have extra to install. But I'm going to go fairly bare bones with this, and we'll be good there. So let's just rename the host name to EQEMU 2022. Click continue. Domain name doesn't matter for me, might for you or network. We're going to give it a root password. So let's go ahead and give it a password. There we go. Click next. Full name, I'm just going to use my name. and that'll be in the name of my account. Give it another password. And another password. There we go. Continue there. All right, let it do its thing. It's going to set up a clock. I think it uses time servers. I'm in the central time zone. All right, it's going to set up the partitioner. I'm going to go with like the default guided way. So that's going to just take the disk. That's the drive we made. I'm going to go with all the files on one partition just because this is a throwaway VM. I don't plan on using this long term. All right, and obviously there's a science behind setting all this up if you want to do it a certain way. But that's out of the scope of this video. So there we go. Now it's going to install the base operating system. So let's let this churn through this, and then when we get to the next part, we'll go from there. All right, the base system is installed, and now it's configuring the package manager. So we're just going to go with no. We don't have any extra CDs or anything. We just use the net installer. So click continue there. This is your location for the package manager. I'm in the United States, so I'm going to go with that. If you're somewhere else, click that. I'm just going to use the default mirror. I don't need a proxy to connect to my internet, and we'll let that configure. Obviously, in all those cases, you would select which is best for your situation. Some networks require proxy. Some, if you're in a different country, you might have different mirrors that you would want to use. All right, a few minutes later, we're now at the popularity contest package survey thing. I don't want to participate in that. So we're almost to the part where we get to choose our software. So I'm going to turn off the UI. I don't want a UI. We just want an SSH server. And we should be good there. We don't need a web server. Good to go. And that'll lower the amount of packages by a significant amount. I'm going to do this all command line just because it's 100% easier than setting up a UI on this. And I totally recommend Linux over Windows for this situation, mostly because you don't have to pay for a license. To run Windows and VM, you need a license and all that stuff. So definitely this is the better route to go. And it runs a lot faster. So let's let this finish installing, and then we'll pop in and finish this up. All right, here we go. Install the Grub bootloader. Yes, we do. So we're going to click yes for that. This is just the pop-up menu that comes up when you first boot up the computer to pick your boot OS. If you have multiple OSs, it'll let you select between those. Let's see here. You need to take the newly installed to make it bootable by installing a bootloader on a bootable device. Usual way is primary drive. All right, so let's go with our drive. There we go. Finish installing. And for all these time long, we're waiting on stuff, I'm gonna fast forward all of that just instead of cutting it, just so there's no confusion on some stuff. And I'm gonna go ahead and move this out of the way, and we're gonna move this right up here. All right, installation is complete. Go ahead and click continue. Your system will now reboot. There we go. There is the grub bootloader. Go ahead and just press enter on that first one. All right, so it looks like we're getting some weird errors, but should be fine. I think it's just VirtualBox. So let's go ahead and log into this beast. All right, now we're in. Let's do if config or IP show, I think it is now. Oh my god, IP adder show. There we go. Our IP address is 248. So what we're going to do, so I have a Windows command prompt here, so we're going to SSH into this 192.168.4.248. All right, so let's go ahead and SSH into this box from our main OS. This is just so that it's easier to deal with this thing. So it should log us in. There we go. I'm going to move this over here. We're not going to need that for right now. This will let us copy and paste into it. A lot easier. All right. So now we can actually do some stuff here. So let's see what does this have? Does this have curl? Nope, it doesn't. But it has wget. It has wget. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this wget command right here. We're going to copy the entire thing, and let me walk you through what everything's doing here. So wget is like a web browser in a way, but it downloads the file that you targeted. So it's going to download this install.sh, which is a shell script for Linux. It's going to change it to executable, and then it is going to run it. So fairly standard. If I didn't trust this website, I would not do this. So that's something you should keep in mind when you're doing this. So let's go ahead. All right, why is that not copy? There we go, finally. And I'm pasting by right-clicking in this Windows terminal. And there you can see the same command downloads that install script and goes. So let's go ahead and press enter. Sudo command not found. Interesting. So sudo is not set up in this version of... Okay, so we didn't install sudo, I guess, in this base install, which is weird. So let's go ahead and let's fix that real quick. So su root. So now we're root. We're going to apt install sudo. There we go. Sudo is installed. So we're going to do vi sudo, or what is the command? Sudo edit now. Well, while we're here, let's install apt install vim. That's a better text editor. All right, come on. All right, let's exit. That'll get us out of the root shell that we were in. Now we should be able to run this command. All right, so we need to do sl-su-l, like so. Put in our root password. And then we can do add user, our username, and then sudo. And there we go. Our user is now in the sudo group. So we can go exit here now. There we go. We had to actually log out and log back in. There we go. Now we can sudo. Fine. That's different than what I remember, but there we go. So now we can actually run this command. Convoluted. Hopefully I can edit that so it makes more sense. But we're gonna run this install.sh. There we go. So we're now running the installer. it's going to install the server. Obviously, it's going to install MariaDB, which is also called MySQL, depending on what you remember. It was MySQL to me. Now it's MariaDB. It's going to install Perl. It's going to install Lua. It's going to install the latest DB for PEQ, latest quests, whatever plugins, the latest maps, path files, and server binaries. So let's go ahead and do that. So we need to set up a password. I'm going to use a simple password for this. I'm just going to do EQ as my password. And then I'm going to use EQ for the root password of all, the root password for MySQL. And then I'm going to use EQ for the database name. I'm going to use EQ for the emulator server name and password, both EQ, just so it's simple. Obviously, if you're running this in any kind of environment other than your own computer, not connected to the internet, you would want to use stronger passwords. But now the server is installing. All right, it's done. I had an issue. I did on the downloading maps. It like hung or something, and I killed the process in the background, and it continued from there, and it finished it. Went through and compiled everything. I stopped the video because it was like 2 or 3 hours of going through this nonsense. So it may or may not take a while. You might get, it might hang at that. It's like a 700 meg file to download the maps, and I don't know. I really don't know. All right, so we got it installed. What's next? Looks like once it's complete, don't think we need to do anything here. Yeah, compiling takes a while. It took a good amount of time. All right, let's go ahead and start the server, I guess. So let's exit this. This is a little admin tool. So that's that. Let's go here. We're gonna start the, actually, let's go here. Let's do SU EQEMU. That's our user. I think we did EQ, right? What did I change? What did I name that user? Home EQEMU. Okay. So switch user EQEMU, like so. Type in our password. Never mind. It's it doesn't have the same account. I always do this as root. So let's do I do it as root because I'm on my own thing. It doesn't really matter. Can then go switch user EQEMU. Then do home cd. Come on. There we go. Now we're inside this directory. Go into the server directory. There we go. There's all the stuff for the server. Let's make it a little bigger. All right. So there is some server commands. There's server start with login, server status. The server's not running yet, so let's go ahead and oh, they actually show the command. Here, I'll do it the way they show it and not my own way. Let's exit that, exit that, exit that. All right, so we're back on our user right here. So they're saying they like it used this way. So EQEMU and then dot server start. But we need to be in that directory first. Home. There we go. Server start.sh. There we go. Let's see what happens when we run it. You can see it loading up, loading everything. Looks like it loaded just fine. Let's do the same. Lag there for a second. All right, where is that command? So let's do server status.sh. There we go. The server is up and running. But we want to stop the server now because we didn't configure it, and that's one of the things we need to do first. All right, so let's see here. We want to edit EQEMU config.json. Here we go. So these are all the things that set up, right? We have our database password. All that's good. So we have that, and here's the world. Okay. So I don't use this EQ emulator login stuff. I don't use that at all. So what I'm gonna do is delete this. So I'm using VI or Vim, and to delete in this, I just hit DD. So I can hit DD on each of these lines and take out that one too. I'm gonna go here, change that to 1, change that to 2. And then I'm gonna save this right now because I forgot the IP address of this host. And then I just hit Control L to clear the screen. And an IP adder show. Our IP address is this one right here. This is my local subnet for my network, and this host is 248. So we're gonna go back in here. We're gonna change this one right here from theirs to our IP address on 68.4.248, like so. And we'll leave that the same. That looks good. You can name your server however you want, but looks fine to me. So let's go ahead and write that. All right, there is another config file. It's login JSON. There we go. Let's make sure this is all set up. We got the database. We got auto create counts true. Everything looks good. Go and quit that. All right, so let's do right here. Server start with login. There we go. This is going to give us a login server. I prefer it this way. Works better for me in my use cases. You can do it however you want. That is up to you to figure out what you want. So we got that going. Let's check the status. All right, looks like the server's up and going. All right, so now we need to edit our Everquest host file. So on Project EQ, they have the client for ROF2 you can download. I'll link that in the description, but it's a long download. I'm not going to bother with it. All I did was extract it, and I have obviously from all my videos I've made on all this, I have all these different ones. I'm just going to go into this one right here. I'm going to find eqhost.txt right here. We're going to edit this with code. You can use any text editor you want. I have Visual Studio Code installed, so that's what I use. So we're just going to set that to 248. That's the IP of the server. We're going to save that, and we're done with that. So now let's go up a directory here. I think this one right here. I have a batch files for everything. All right, so let's look at this. So when you download the version from Project EQ, they're gonna have its own macro request and all this stuff built in with it. So what you're gonna want to do is use that one. So let's rename this one here. Copy to test1, because I don't know how this is going to handle the spaces and stuff in there. So I'm just going to put test1 here. And so that's, we don't even want to run macro request anyway. This one right here. Test1. Here, let's turn on word wrap so this is a little bit easier for everybody to see. All right, so we have test one. This is a Windows command to start the client and all that, and it's gonna name it that, and I just have random account names for everything, and then it's gonna run the patch me because you do not want it to patch. If it patches, you're broken, and you'll have to re-download it. So let's go ahead and copy that. So we're gonna paste it right here. So task list with some commands. The GM character I'm going to create is going to be named Lothar. That's what I use for all my GM characters. It's going to run the EQGame.exe inside of that test1 directory. And this is just making sure that there's a window named Lothar, and names the window Lothar, and goes through and does all of that and sends patch me to this one. And if you have Mac request, it's going to send it's going to use the account name, so it doesn't matter. We're going to click OK. Actually, let's paste it. All right, so something happened there. Let's see what happened here. So I have another terminal right here. Let's make it so we can actually do something with it. This is actually SSH into that one. So let's go new command prompt. Let's paste that. So let's make sure that's all the same, and let's run that one. See what happens. So it's going to wait for a few seconds. That's the way this thing is set up. There we go. We got an Everquest window. So, and it filled in the username account. So we're just going to make up a password of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just for the sake of doing this. And we're going to click login. There we go. We can see URYICA, which if we go back here, it was in, I think this one right here. No, it was in the other one. There we go, URYCA, perfect. So we're going to select that server, click play. There we go, there we're in. And create a new character. I like halflings. Where is the best looking halfling? Let's do a halfling cleric. Actually a warrior. Let's make him look cool. There we go. The best one. All right, and we'll call him Lothar. There we go, and enter world. And I clicked on the tutorial, so that's where it's going to take us. There we go, and we are in. We are in our, this is the old tutorial, if you've never seen it. Definitely different than live. By a little bit. Like, I don't think they changed too much, but it is different. Maybe it's the old models and the old zone layout, but there we go. We are in EverQuest on our own server. Can't really, I mean, I'm not sure where else to go with that. All right, so let's move this window out of the way and see if there's anything else here. No, it doesn't look like it. So all I did here was I changed the logon servers. So it's logon server 1 and 2. I put the IP address of the server's external IP. This one. So IP adder show 248. And that's why we're in bridged mode, right? If we were in natted mode, we'd have a different natted IP address, and your mileage may vary, right? And if you're also in bridged mode, you can connect from another computer. So if you had another, say you had a laptop you want to connect, you'd be able to connect to it. If it is in natted mode, you would not be able to connect to from anywhere except for your host computer, which would be this computer here. But that's all we did. We changed that. We got all that set up. You can change the name however you want. It doesn't really matter. I just do server start with a login, like so. They use the sudo -u EQEMU. That's the username with the commands. But that's, you know, you can do it however you want, I guess. I ran my personal one on as root the whole time, but it doesn't have any external access, so it's probably not as secure. But that's up to I would say that's up to you to do whatever you want. I'm gonna tell you what to do. But that is it, I believe. I can't think of anything else. Let me look. I had a few questions on Discord. Let's see here. I'm not gonna bring that in. I don't want to dox the guy. All right, so explain the IP address issue. So yeah, make sure the firewall's off by default. I don't believe Debian has a firewall. So UFW, yeah. So it doesn't even have that firewall. And I believe I've answered all the questions I had gotten in the Discord during the video. So I think we're good. If there's any questions, please let me know. I have a Discord. The link is in the description. There is a chat room called EQEMU, along with Everquest chat room and stuff like that. And if you have any problems, please post them there. The comments and YouTube just don't seem to work very well for me. Like if you like, say you make a comment, I reply to it, and then you reply to my comment, I won't get a notification, and I'll never know what happened. And that happened for quite a while, and I've just kind of like getting that under control, right, and responding to your old comments and stuff like that. So it's easier to just post in the chat. There's a few people who are doing the same thing that, you know, with this, that everybody else is doing, so they be able to answer questions also. So definitely a source that you could use. But this is the install doc I used. I just went through it. It took a while. That's not going to be as apparent in the final video. I think I've already edited it down to like 20 minutes for the first half. Just taking out all the time breaks. But this waiting for to compile and install everything took like 2 hours. So, you know, if it looks like it's hanging, you might have to do wrong window. So like do a PS aux, and you'll see like a wget for like what was it? GitHub EQ. The repo was git EQ maps master.zip, and if that's going for longer than you think it should be, like it's a 770 something meg file, and if you can actually do like an ls in what directory are we in? CD home. I think it's server, right? And then maps. Yeah, it's going to be in that directory right there. And if it's not 750 megs or 770 megs or whatever it is, it's still downloading, and it might be slow because it's downloading it as a zip of the entire repo. So, you know, you might have to do that. If it is that and it's just sitting there, just kill the process in the background. So that's you're gonna like do a ps aux, and you'll see, you know, wget with getting that file. Just do a kill-9. You'll have to do sudo on that PID. This second row right here is the PID and her column and stuff like that, and you kill it. And for me, when I killed it, it continued to going and worked just fine after that. But you know, there's I totally recommend using Linux over Windows for anything server related. So definitely, if you have any questions about Linux or things like that, I've been using it for like 20 years. This version is different than what I've been using, so that is a little different. So, you know, if you have any issues, just ask in the Discord and we can try to help you out. But thank you very much for watching, and have a fantastic day.